So as part of manual testing, we are going to learn these concepts. Very easy one. No tools are required. Maybe I'll give the brief overview of bug tracking tool, test tracking tool, and along with that, even like SOAP UI, Postman, those are required for API testing. Okay. So what is it mean by testing? Let us get started then. So within 3 weeks, I'm going to finish manual testing. We have some job opportunities. I'll try to place you guys for those opportunities. What is mean by testing? Whatever the idea you have, cybersecurity classes will be from 7:30 to 8:30, 8:30 to 9:45, 8:30 to 9:15 are the manual testing sessions. We are going to learn manual testing class. Manual testing in the next 3 weeks. So what is meant by manual testing? Reply in the chat window. It can be anything. Whatever you know the answer, you can reply that. Manual testing is to find defects. The process of validation and verification to find the defects. Testing the application manually. Yes, of course, all of you are correct. To test, main objective of testing is to find defects. Remember, the objective of manual testing is find defects, and we try to validate. Validate means checking to see if the specification, if the functionality is meeting the specifications. You are planning to build some application and you check whether that application is as per your specifications or requirements. Be it a software application or a hardware application, or it can be any product, we have to validate that functionality. We have to test that functionality to check if it is meeting the requirements or not. Requirements in the sense, for any kind of project, you get the specifications. You take about a car or some website or a bike. Each and every product, before we start developing that product, it has the specifications. Specifications or requirements. Specifications document or requirements document. This will tell like what is the length of the car, what is the mileage, what is the engine capacity, what is the AC, how is the measurements, what are the color conditions. All those can be considered under specifications if you talk about a car. Before we manufacture the car, or before we start developing a car, we have to refer to the specification. Similarly, for a website, you take any kind of website, be it a banking website or insurance website. Let us take one bank.com. Before you build, developers need some reference to build the application or to code the application, to develop the application. They need some reference. What is that reference? Specifications documents or the project requirement documents. By using those documents, we try to develop the website. Similarly, if you want to develop a bike in a bike manufacturing company, they also need a reference for these specifications or the requirements. Once the developers try to develop this functionality, then comes up the testers. What does the testers do? They try to validate or test or check. What do they check? It doesn't mean like the developers would have done 100% accurately to the application. Basically, there will be some kind of deviations or errors. Those kind of deviations and errors has to be detected by the testers. And if you are doing the test, if you are doing the testing without any tools, then we call it like manual testers. Manual testers will not use any tools for doing the testing. They try to check the functionality of the application to see if those are meeting the expectations or not. Okay, be it a car, be it a website or a bike. Now let us understand some of the important terms. Is testing needed for any kind of application? Yes or no? Is testing mandatory or is it necessarily needed? Yes. What is the reason? Why do you think testing is mandatory for applications or the products? What will happen if the testing is not performed? Yes, everyone are correct. Testing is mandatory for any kind of application. What will happen if you are not doing proper testing? CIA, yes, CIA is one of the factor, but before that, you are trying to purchase a product or you are trying to purchase a bike or a car. If it has some defects, do you purchase that product? We don't purchase that product, right? Similarly, be it any kind of application, we want the quality to be good. We want a quality product or the quality application. To achieve the quality, you have to test that application. If the application doesn't have the quality, then it will have some defects, and that defects is going to cost more than what is expected. Okay, and it will have a huge consequences if your application is not meeting the expectations or not meeting the quality standards. Let us take some of the examples of applications or the products which were not met the expectations, which doesn't have the proper quality, and they had spent thousands of dollars, not thousands, millions of dollars to overcome from that effect. How about Samsung mobiles? There was some issue with Samsung mobiles in 2013 or 11, I think 2016. Can anyone tell me what is the defect, very huge defect, very severe defect that was happening with Samsung mobiles? Hang, yes, one of the issue. Overheating. Overheating in the sense you talk by using that mobile for continuously for 1 hour or 2 years, it will explode. That's it. Even it has caused some of the lives as well. So these kind of issues are coming up because of not doing proper validation. You need to test under different temperature conditions and different environment conditions so that you can discover some kind of remote defects. If we have, because of this issue, Samsung would have spent millions of dollars to replace those mobiles. So in case if this kind of issue exists, obviously the Samsung has to replace the mobile pieces. By the time the application is in the market, lakhs of customers would have purchased that mobile, so they have to replace it. So definitely there is some cost involved for replacing those mobiles, and they have to spend on the support staff to replace and process those replacements. And the delivery boys, you see, right, collect, again deliver it. There is like recurring work, which is the repetitive work which we are spending for without any outcome, right? So that's the reason, be it any kind of application, quality is very important. To achieve the quality, we have to perform the testing. So definitely the testing is needed. Testing is needed so that your application will have a very good quality. Let us understand some of the definitions. Software development life cycle, software testing life cycle, we'll discuss in the next session. In today's session, we'll discuss about the importance of quality and what is mean by software testing and what is mean by defect, what is mean by severity, and some examples of scenarios. How do you test the application? So what do you mean by software testing? Testing is an activity to check whether the product or the application meets the requirements or the specifications. That's it. You develop some application, you need to check whether it is meeting the expectations, whether it is meeting the specifications or not. When in a very simple terms, testing is a process to check whether the application meets the specifications or not. This is the definition. What is meant by software testing? Okay. And why do we require software testing? It will ensure that application is defect free. Means there will not be any kind of defects in the application. If you, that kind of assurance you get it, we can achieve 99.99% of the accuracy. Okay. We cannot guarantee 100% defect free application, but 99.99% we can ensure like that the application is free from the defects. Okay. Then you identify the errors, gaps, and missing requirements. Reduce the risk. What is meant by risk? The impact. Just now we discussed about Samsung mobiles. It was causing the lives of the people, and there is a huge loss because of this overheat and hanging. So we can reduce this kind of cost by doing the proper testing. Cost of the defect in QA versus cost of the defect in production. This we'll discuss once you're familiar with software development lifecycle. So definitely testing is required. And what is meant by software testing, why it is needed, you will go through this document for your reference. The next thing is, what is meant by defect? I'll give you the questions and answers for all the manual testing concepts after the theory sessions. Okay. Within 2 weeks, you should be ready for attempting any kind of manual testing interviews. What do you mean by defect? Simple one-word answer you can give. Any kind of deviation between the expected versus actual. Yes, that is correct. Functionality is not up to the mark. Loophole, bug, error, flaw, damage. Yes, of course. Weakness. When do we call it like defect? If you find some kind of deviation between actual functionality versus expected functionality. There is any kind of deviation between the actual functionality and expected functionality, we call it as a defect. So expected functionality is derived from specifications. Is it true or false? Can I get the answer? Expected functionality is derived from specifications. Is it true or false? Yes, it is true. Basically, we are checking the functionality of the application. Expected functionality is derived from specifications. I'll be sharing the interview questions by afternoon. Go through those interview questions as well. How about actual functionality? How are we validating the actual functionality? How do you come to know the actual functionality? You have to test it. Test the application. Okay. Then only you come to know the actual functionality. So you are testing the application and comparing it with the specifications. If there is any deviation, we call it like a defect. That's it. Very simple definition, defect, and then software testing. Why is testing needed? Now let us move on to some scenarios. I will give you an application. You need to test that application. That's it, right? You want to find the defects. I'm sure One of the application you would have already tested. Again, we are going to do it one more time. Most of the cases, this interview question will be asked. If there is a login page, username, password, submit button, what kind of scenarios do you test? So if you want to find defects, you have to test it. If you want to test, you need some test scenarios. Test scenarios are something which you have to develop depending on the functionality. If there is a login functionality, you have to come up with the test scenarios. We'll try to develop these scenarios now as part of this session. This is a 100% question that will be asked in all the interviews for manual testing. Very simple. There is a website with a username and password and submit button. What are the different scenarios you are going to test for that application? This is the question that is asked in the interviews for manual testing. Each one of you has to tell one scenario now. I'll list down the scenarios as and then you post it in the chat window. Test scenarios for login. First scenario, always the positive test case is valid username and valid password. The positive test case should always work. If it's not working, then no need to test other cases. This is one scenario. You expect the login to be successful. If it is not working, then that is a defect. Second case, valid username and invalid password. This is one more scenario. Third scenario, invalid username and valid password. Fourth scenario, invalid username and invalid password. Like this, I want you to list the scenarios. Leave about the output. What is the output we are going to get? Let us ignore that. Okay. Now I'm going to see the different kind of scenarios what you guys are going to list. Okay, special characters for username and password. For username and password. Case sensitivity. Case sensitivity. Then any other scenarios? Try password with alphanumeric on default usernames and passwords. Yes. Passwords. Any other scenarios? Caption. No, assume like there is only username, password, and submit. Yes, blank username and password, that is a special case. Password. Any more scenarios? Those are all special cases like CAPTCHA, face recognition, multi-factor authentication, OTP. Those are special cases. Right now, we concentrate only on the username and password. We'll try login with different alphanumeric combination of username and password, then default usernames and passwords, Continuously try for brute force attack. Brute force means you try with all combinations of usernames and passwords. All combinations of usernames and passwords, what you get in the internet. Any other scenarios you want to test? Special characters is done blank username and password, invalid username and password, alphanumeric combinations, special characters, case sensitivity. Okay, you check the cancel button and OK button. Check the functionality of submit. Check cancel, submit button, functionality. That is also one more scenario. Forgot password is not there. That's it. These are the scenarios, still we haven't tested it. On testing, we'll try to know if there are any defects or not. Assume like I have provided valid username and password and the login is not working. Is it a defect or not? Login is not working when you provided valid username and valid password. Is it a defect? The first case, I'm just asking you to assume like by providing valid username and password, the login is not working. It says like invalid user. Is it a defect? Of course, yes. The second scenario, let us take up the second test scenario. Valid username and invalid password I'm trying to give, but login is success. Even for invalid password, the login is successful. Is it a defect? Yes or no? Yes, that is a defect. The fourth scenario, I'm trying to provide invalid username and invalid password, and the response is it says invalid username and password. I'm providing the invalid username and invalid password. Is it a defect or not? The response says invalid username or invalid password. Is it a defect? I'm trying to list the scenarios, and there will be something like actual functionality, and expected functionality. Don't mind the spellings, okay? Actual results versus expected result. So actual results will come only once you test the application, but you can list down the expected results. Expected result in case of all these test scenarios. Total, there are 10 scenarios, and I want you to list the expected results for these 10 scenarios. Okay. Actual results, we'll do it by testing the application. Let us talk about the expected results. Expected results is done with the help of the specifications, right? We know the specifications already. The login should work for valid credentials. It should not work for invalid credentials. That is the specification for the login implementation. Now tell me the expected results for the first case. By providing valid username and valid password, login should be successful or fail. Success. Okay. This is the first case. The second case, valid username and invalid password. What is the expected result? Second scenario, login should fail. Third scenario, login should fail. Fourth scenario, for invalid username and password, login should fail. Special characters for username and password, login should fail. Case sensitivity. You are trying to provide the username and password. By changing the case sensitivity, login should fail. Default usernames and passwords, it should not work for default. You should say like should not work for default credentials, which means that login should not work. Okay. Blank username and password, login should fail. Brute force attack, it should fail. Cancel and submit button, submit should attempt login. That is the expected result, right? Cancel should not attempt login. This is the expected result. Now, what are the actual results? If you want to get actual results, we need to test the application. Am I correct? I'll give you a simple application with valid username and password. Your job is to find defects in that application. Tell me how many defects are there in that application. There is a website called alteromutual.com. You can launch it in your laptop. Manual testing is very easy. No need to use any tools. Completely manual process. And username is jsmith. Password is demo1234. I want you to try the scenarios from 1 to 10 and see how many. Leave about the cancel and submit for now. Okay. So when you click on submit, it should attempt the login. Assume like you provided valid username and valid password, but you clicked on cancel. When you click on cancel, will the login be successful or not? 10th scenario. Login will be successful or not by clicking on the cancel. It will not succeed. Okay. Fair enough. Can you guys try the scenarios from 1 to 9? 9 is not possible, at least from 1 to 8 for a website called alphamutual.com. Try all these scenarios. Alphamutual.com, you have to launch. There is a sign in option. Click on sign in. So you have the username and password and login, no cancel option. Try all these scenarios and tell me how many defects are there. You need to try first case, jsmith and demo1234. Check whether login succeeds or not. Then you have to mention the actual results. And after that, we need to even mention whether it is a defect or not. Try the scenarios 1 to 8. I'm giving you 10 minutes of time. Valid credentials are jsmith, demo1234. Apart from that, try for invalid username, invalid password, special characters for the password field, case sensitivity, default usernames and passwords, blank username and password, brute force attack. All these scenarios, try it out and tell me how many defects are there in this application. Your time starts now. 10:15 now. We'll see at 10:25 how many. 1 minute for each scenario. First scenario I'll show you. Okay, in case if you have difficulty, I'll show you the first scenario. The first scenario says you need to try with valid credentials. That is jsmith and give valid password demo1234. Login. Login is success. I'm providing valid credentials and I'm able to get the result. So this test case is passed. Again, to try the second scenario, I need to log off. Click on sign off, then click on sign in. Second scenario I have to try. Second scenario is jsmith and password invalid password. So I'll give 1234 instead of demo1234. Click on login. It says incorrect username or password. So the test case, is it a defect? Yes or no? The first case, login worked. Login success. So the end result, there is no defect. The test case is passed. We call it like the first test case is passed. There is no defect. When I say pass means there is no defect. The second case I tried valid username and invalid password. Login not success. But the test case is passed or failed here. Login not success. Actually, for invalid password, login should not succeed. But the test case is passed. Got it? Everyone understood this scenario? If you have any doubts, feel free to ask me. Any doubts? Feel free to ask me if you have any doubts, okay? Okay, try the scenarios from 3 to 8. And let us see how many defects you are getting. Pass or fail is something on the test case result. Ten 25. You guys have got 8 minutes and tell me what is the actual result for each and every scenario. Meanwhile, can I get the attendance from each one of you? Try to put your name in the chat window and the batch which you have attended the HackerBook training. Is it like September batch or June batch, January, April batch, 2022? Reply with your name and the batch from which batch you have been enrolled for the cybersecurity or the manual testing course from HackerBook. Can I get the attendance, please? Just message your name and batch. I got the response from 15 members, 20, 25, 30, 40, 50, okay. Out of 122 members, only 60 so far. Reply in the chat window with your name and from the which batch you have been enrolled for the course from HackerBook. Just for reference purpose, nothing else. I got the attendance from 90 people. How about the rest 30? Today's concept is very important. You should be knowing like what is the actual functionality, what is the expected functionality, or actual results versus expected results. You should be you should be in a position to decide whether it is a defect or not. If you are not able to decide whether it is a defect or not, then clearly like you will not know. It says that you will not be able to perform the manual testing work. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, continue doing the testing for all the other scenarios from 3 to 8 and confirm me how many defects are there in that application. Already we are doing the testing, software testing. Just now we are doing the functional testing for the login page. It can be any other page. As of now, we are doing the functional testing for the login. Go ahead, under 5 minutes, 7 minutes. Saujan, I didn't get your question. What is mean by status and comments? Login status and comments, both are needed. You have to confirm whether the application is working as expected or not. That is the main thing. So when you call the test case as pass or fail, it means that the don't worry about this login fail. This is the status for the credentials which you are providing. If you are providing valid credentials, it says login success. If you are providing invalid credentials, it says login failed. But for invalid credentials, the expected functionality is login failed, right? Okay, let us go through one after another. Last 1 minute. First scenario, provide valid username and valid password. Login succeeded and the test case is passed. Even the expected results is login should succeed. Second scenario, valid username and invalid password. The result, actual result is login not succeeded, but the message you are getting is login failed. This is expected, right? Login should fail and it is failing because the password is invalid. So the test case is passed or failed. If there is a test scenario or test case, do you pass the test case or fail the test case? Always remember, if the actual results are meeting the expected results, we pass the test case. If actual results are not meeting the expected results, we fail the test case. Simple and blind rule. And the third scenario, invalid username and invalid password. The expected results is login should fail. I'll try to give something like so and so invalid username and so and so invalid password. These are all invalid credentials. Click on login. Login failed again. So I would update it like actual results for invalid username and invalid password. Login failed. That's what is expected, right? Because for invalid credential, login should fail. Actual results meeting the expected results. So the test case is passed or failed. Can I get the reply for this question? Should I pass the test case or fail the test case? The test case is passed. Okay. So far, we didn't find any defects. Test case passed. Special characters for username and password. I'm sure like there also login will fail. Login fail. Test case passed. Case sensitivity. So far, whatever I am trying is password as demo1234, and you try with password of like this. When you want to try case sensitivity, you need to try with special uppercase to lower, lowercase to upper. I try with demo1234 as a password and see whether the login works or not. All of you try this case and see whether the login works or not. Actual result is login should fail because whenever the password should be case sensitive. Case sensitive means it should treat uppercase letters and lowercase letters separately. If it is not treating like that, then it is an issue. Is the login working? So we call it like login success, even if you are providing the uppercase case with demo1234. I'm trying to put capital demo instead of small demo. Click on login. Hello, John Smith. So the login is working, but specification says it should not be case sensitive. If you want to try, you can try for your Facebook account or Gmail account. Change from lowercase to uppercase and see whether it is working or not. Login succeeded, but the test case failed. Why failed? The reason is it should not work. Login should fail for capital demo1234. That is the reason I'm failing this test case. Default usernames and passwords. Do you know any kind of default usernames and password? Username as user, password as password. Username as admin and password as admin. Okay, those are default credentials. Should not work. Should not work. Login should not work for default credentials. You try with username as admin and password as password. But here, login, okay, hold on. Login succeeded for slash admin. So the test case should fail. Blank username and password, login fails. The test case pass. Brute force attack, we cannot test it. So total, how many defects are there in this application? Two scenarios got failed out of 8. Fail and fail. One is default credentials, other one is case sensitivity. So how many defects you have found? Two defects. These two defects you have to report it. You have to report it to the developer in a tool called Zira. Remember, any kind of bug tracking tool. You found some defects, right? Those defects you have to report it. It is not like you are sending a mail. You have to log into some portal called Jira or any other bug, HP Quality Center QC. You have to report the defects. How about check and cancel? For now, you ignore this cancel and submit because we don't have the cancel option in this web page. Okay. Any of these tools we have to report. You have to provide the details for how this application, how this defect existing. We'll discuss in tomorrow's session how to report a defect. Along with these scenarios, I'll give you one more username and password. Check whether it works or not. 1 or 1 is equal to 1. Can you guys see if the login works for this case? QC means quality center. Jira and QC are tools that are used for reporting the defects. 1 or 1 is equal to 1. If the login is working, is it a defect? Yes or no? Yes, again one more defect. Total 3 defects we have got. In the next session, we are going to see how do you report a defect in a tool. These 3 defects you have to report in a tool called Jira or Quality Center. We'll do that in the next session. Okay. From Monday onwards, there is no session on Saturday and Sunday. From Monday onwards, we'll start the session at 8:30. 7:30 to 8:30, it is cyber security. 8:30 to 9:15 or 9:30, depending on the session, it is going to be manual testing. Remember, manual testing sessions are for the job perspective. Don't miss the sessions. Have you understood now what is meant by test scenario, actual results, and expected results? Manual testing course price, yes, same price, 14,000. It is not only like manual testing. You are going to learn about network, system administration, network troubleshooting, asset management. So whichever are essential for the job perspective, we are going to cover those scenarios as part of manual testing class. You can take manual testing plus Java Selenium or manual testing plus network security or cyber security plus manual testing. The price is same, 14,000. And in fact, yesterday the offer price got over. Maybe like we'll extend it for today. From Monday onwards, it is going to be only paid sessions. How is it going to work for 1 or 1 is equal to 1? Let me show you that. 1 or 1 is equal to 1. Already it is there. I try to provide username and password as this 1 or 1 is equal to 1. Basically, we are trying to make the condition as true. 1 is equal to 1 is always true. True condition or with false condition. What will happen? What is the final output? It is always true. So basically, we are trying to make the condition as true. Once you know the database queries, we are going to cover the database queries. 14 for manual testing, 14 for cyber security testing. If you pay for one course, no need to pay for other course. That's it. Okay. If you are already paying for cyber security, no need to pay for manual testing. Or if you are attending purely for manual testing, you have to pay 14,000. Okay, guys, thank you so much. See you on Monday again. No classes on weekend. Java Selenium will follow the manual testing classes. The moment manual testing gets finished, then Java Selenium classes will commence. We should know the manual testing before you do the Java Selenium or automation testing. Fine, guys. Have a great weekend. Yes, freshers can try in both manual testing and cyber security. In fact, next week we have the requirement for manual testing freshers with 65 percentage, 2020, 21, and 22 passed out, and 65% minimum for triple E, ECE, and computers. I hope already you guys have got chance to fill the form. In case if you have not filled it, try to do it in 5 minutes because I'm going to share that list. Only for freshers now. Experienced, anyhow, you have to do it after the course. 19, no. Or else you guys send it, fill the form, whether you are 19 passed out or 18 passed out. We'll try to filter and send that list. No sessions on Saturday and Sunday. There will be cloud security, that is only for advanced training, not for you guys. Okay. Okay, then see you on Monday, but I'll keep you updated on the timings. Mostly it will be 8:30. Okay. Bye, guys. See you. Have a great weekend. And if you are fresher, if you have the opportunity of 2020, 21, 22 with BTech, okay, BTech, Triple E, ECE, and computer science, prepare well the manual testing concepts in the next 3 days. Okay. CSE, ECE, Triple E, computer science. 2020, 21, 22 passed outs with minimum of 65 percentage. You are going to have a manual testing references. Interviews will be there in the next week. Okay, then see you. Bye bye.